Alright, I'm Laser85 and I'm here with a tutorial on how to create a 3D Plumbob for a movie in The Sims 3. So all you need to do now is to download a free 3D program called Blender, and I'm going to show you which site it is. You open your browser and you type in www.blender.org, and here you're going to download. You have to choose if you have Windows 3D bits or 64 bits, and then it depends on which program you're going to download. I have 64, so I'm going to click on this one. Now you got guided to if the downloads don't start in a moment, then you can click here, and now here it goes. Now it's downloading. The nice thing about Blender is that you can use all your projects and selling it if you want. And the program is free, so you don't have to pay a thing. It's very easy to use once you know it, but it's hard to read, so therefore is my tutorial. I don't have to download it right now because I have already the program. So all I do have to now is to click on Blender, open it, and here you are in the Blender program. So, I will show you in a few minutes a guide on how to do all these things to create your three-dimensional Plumbob. But first I have to show you a few things about this program to know how to work a little bit in it. What you see here is your 3D view. And that means there are 3 objects in here, well actually 4. One, that is a cube. This is the object that you are going to modify. This thing is the camera. This is from where the scene is rendered, and rendered means the final version of how you will see it. So if I press F12, then this is the cube, and this is how you will see it when it's rendered. This will be an image which you can use for whatever you like. You also can make a movie with Shift F12, but there is no movie yet, so of course you can't render it. This is your light. Without the light you can't see a thing, so I have removed the light and now you see the cube is black. I press Ctrl+C to bring it back. If you press your middle mouse button, you can scroll around in your 3D view. This won't change for the camera, as the camera still stands there and it will stand there as long as you leave it. But now you can edit, of course, things on the other side of the cube, which is pretty convenient. The grid is only a guideline to show where the object is, but it won't, as you see, it won't appear in the final render. Another thing you need to know is the way Blender uses to coordinate its space. If you take a look at this little thing, you see 3 lines, a blue one, a green line and a red line, and each line represents an axis. That means the green is from the left to the right, the red is from front to back, and the blue one is from top to bottom. They are called Z, Y and X. The reason why it's called X, for example, and not left or right is because now this is left and this is right, and the camera is on the left side. But if I turn around the scene, the camera is on the right side, so that's not convenient to describe where the object actually is. So we're going to show things on the Z, Y and X axis. If you forget which is one, you can see it in the left down corner. So another thing is a way to handle the objects. There are different kind of modes. If you click here, you can see it. A lot of object modes, and in this tutorial I'm only to describe you 2, object mode and edit mode, because we don't really need another one. This is object mode. That means you can move objects around according to its environment. A big difference with edit mode is now you can move a selected object according to itself, with different parts of the object. If I click here, I select one vertex, and the vertex is a little dot. And if I press the G, I can move around it. And if I left click my mouse button, I have officially changed the model. If I go back to object mode, the object still remains the same. Now I can press G to move the entire object. And a better way of moving an object than only G and left clicking is to say to move it around a certain axis. So if I press the G and then I press the Y to move it only on the green line, it got forced to only move it around there. And this also works with pressing G and pressing X to move it around the X axis, as well as pressing G and pressing Z to move it up or down. To move it even more in a certain way, you can press the G and then the Y and then 1 to move it one blender unit. If I press G and I press C and I press 5, of course it moves larger. Press Ctrl Z to move it back, and if I press G and Z and -5, then it will move the other way around, and in this case that's down. So if I go back to an object to edit mode, you can do here, or you can press the tab to switch between those two. You can also move that vertex to press G, press Z and press 1 to move it one blender unit above. You also can move the G and the Y and then 1 that way, so it can move in the Y direction, or G, Y, -1 to move it in the negative direction. If you press back to object mode by pressing tab, you can also scale the object by pressing G and then the S to scale it around. To scale it. And of course this also works with pressing G, S2 to scale it 2 times as large as usual. And this also works with making it smaller, pressing G, S, -1, G, S, -2. No, that don't work. GS and then you have to make it so. GS 0.1 to make it 1/10 of the object's normal size. That's the one. Besides moving around and scaling it, you can also rotate the object. You press the G, the R for rotate, and then you can rotate it. A better way of this is pressing G, rotate, and then the Y axis to only rotate it on one axis at a time. And another better way is, press the middle mouse button to move around, is pressing G, rotate, Y, and then 30 to rotate it 30 degrees around the Y axis, in the positive Y axis. Press Ctrl G, Ctrl Z to get back. I can also move it the other way around by pressing G, R, and then -30 degrees to remove it 30 degrees in the negative direction. I press Escape to get back. Also, by pressing Tab to go to Edit mode, you have 3 ways to move parts of your objects. One is this vertex, I already shown you. By pressing Shift right click you can select multiple vertices to move them all together. But also the object actually exists in three things. It exists of 3 things. You have the vertex, that is this one, and you have also the lines, that's called an edge, and the little space between 4 edges, 3 or 4 edges, that's called a face. If you press Ctrl Tab, you can switch between those. I have now selected the vertex, I click on edge, and now you can edit, or you can select edges, and by pressing G, you can move those around. This also works with pressing G and the Y and then 2 to move it 2 blender units in the positive Y direction, of pressing G, Y, -2 to move it 2 blender units in the negative Y direction. By pressing Shift right click you can select multiple edges to move those around at the same time. And there is another thing to select, that's called with Ctrl plus Tab, going to face. You can select a face. And with pressing G you can of course move those around. Shift 3 will give the same effect, move those 2 at the same time. So that's for moving around in 3 dimensions. Let's see, another thing I have to explain is panning and zooming in the scene. That is by the middle mouse scroll wheel, by the scroll wheel, scroll back and down. If you press shift and the middle mouse button, you can pan around without actually rotating around in your scene. You rotate by your middle mouse button. And if you ever got lost in space, so I don't know where I am, I press shift C to go back to the middle. And that's for now. Now this kind of thing you see here, that is your timeline. Here you can use your object to move around, just like a video editing software. You can see from every frame where to move the camera. Now it exists from frame 1 to 250, and you can change that, but I will explain that in a later tutorial. This are a lot of buttons, and it looks like rocket science at first sight maybe, but I will explain a few things about it which you need later on, so you don't have to worry about that. Now that's the intro for now. Now we will create an image background as a reference material to build a Plumbob from there. Okay, now you know a little bit on how to move around in your 3D scene and how to move your objects around, and you know what the grid is, what the lamp is and what the camera does, and how to make your scene by pressing F12. Now we are ready to start to make our 3-dimensional Plumbob, but before we do, we have to import some reference material, in this case a background image, so you can work from that. All we need to do now is you can get some image from the internet and dump it on your computer, and then we have to do 2 things. First is importing the image to Blender, and from there to import it to your scene. We're going to here. First you press numpad 5 to change it to the ortho view. You can see your well scene at once. You're going to this button, change your 3D view, what you're seeing now, to UV image editor. And this is also your render scene. So this is here you can import your images, and that's what we're going to do now. So you click on image, open image, or press Alt O, and then you're going to your where you have downloaded your image. In my case it's in Project Sims 3 Tutorials Info. It's hidden very deep in my computer. So don't mind the low resolution, because we only need the edges, we don't need the color, and we surely don't need the white around it. So all you need to worry about is that you can see a 3D Plumbob, and you can work with seeing where the lines are the edges in my case. Now we have imported this. We're going back to the 3D view, and we're going to the properties window by here, or pressing the N, and all the numpad shortcuts on the right side represents the shortcut to go into a certain scene in Blender, or open as another window. So we can click here, come back, and click here to open the properties window, or we can press the N button, and here we have the properties. So you scroll down to the bottom, you click on background image, and then you click this triangle to open, to expand the window. Click on add image, then click on this thing to expand that as well. And now in the list you can see 2 images, the render results, and that is how the Plumbob looks like when the scene is rendered, and the Plumbob. And now we're going to use the Plumbob as our reference material. And of course you can't see it yet, because you have to define an axis from where it can view it. And this time, in my case, I'm going to view it from the top. So if I click on view and I click on top, I can see the background image. So now we can work and make our Plumbob, and that's what we're going to do next. So now we have included our background image. We now are able to make the Plumbob by dragging it over. In this case we have our cube in the middle, which is not very practical in this case. So we're going back to view top, and we're going to press delete to delete the cube, and press shift plus A to add another object. You have a lot of objects you can include and expand depending on what you are going to make. You have a lot to choose from. In this case the best thing you can do is add a plane, because the plane is flat. If my middle mouse button is pressed, you can see this thing is flat. It doesn't have a height at all, or it only exists in the X and the Z direction. We're going to File and then Save As, because we're going to save it, and here you can change the title of your project. Press enter and then enter again, and now it's saved. Do that first, because if Blender crashes you will lose what you have made so far. Press tab to go into edit mode with this plane. Right click this vertex, press the G and move it up. Wait, Ctrl Z to get back. G and Shift C, because so you can move it in the Z in the X axis and the Y axis, except for the Z, so it can change from the left to right, top to bottom, but not up or down. You drag it here, click, and it's there. Now select the other vertex, press G again, press Shift Z and G again, move it there. This one, right click, G, Shift C, move it there, and that one, G, Shift C. And now you have the Plumbob, basically. If you press the Z button you can look through the object, so you can see what's inside. And normally it is very convenient if you want to model a car and it's hard to make that from scratch. You can use an image background with a car included, so you can drag it over. And from there what you normally can do is press Z again. You press the A to deselect everything, and then A again to select everything. Now you press the E button, and the E button will extrude it, and what it will do is it will take everything you have selected and it will extrude it to make it to add new faces to it. In this case it will extrude in the Z direction, so if I move the mouse you can see it will literally extrude the object. Of course you can type in 2, in this case -2, to make it to move it 2 Blender units high. So now we have the form of a Plumbob. This is one way to do it. This is not the way I like to do it. So, but it's also need to know that you can do it this way if you want to model a car or something else later on. So we're going back to object mode. Press delete to delete this object, and we're going to add a sideliner. Add mesh sideliner. This is the object we're going to work from. In this panel we can decrease, or we can increase the amount of edges and vertices on the side. You can make it as crazy if you like. So 197 is possible. It will give you this result if you press F12. But also what you can see, it will increase your render time dramatically. If I make this, let's do something crazy, 1000, and I hope it won't. See, it takes up a little more time to make the object, the render. You can see there are so many vertices, you won't see them again, and it looks like a smooth object. But it's absolutely not convenient, and it may be that your computer will crash if it's not that fast. So you can decrease it simply to 30. No, that's too low. To 50, and now here above shading, under down shading, you press smooth, and now here the object is smooth. What this will do is make the smooth object, and it's without too many vertices. So this will absolutely decrease the render time, and that is always the thing you want to do. Because you have to remember that if you want to make a movie in 3D, every frame in your movie has to be rendered separately. So if you are if one render, if one frame will take up 2 minutes and you have 200 frames, then approximately every the total amount of time is will 200 keer 2 minutes, and you know that's too long. So if you can decrease the render time in every case, just do it. We're going to delete this one. Press Shift A again and include the sideliner again. Now the vertices, we have too much of them, so we can then decrease to 6. Type in 6 and here you have it. A Plumbob has 6 vertices around the side, so this object will have that too. Now we're going to tap back to edit mode. And you may hear some paper in the background, and that's because I have written down this tutorial on paper, because there are too many steps to remember out of my head. We're going to Ctrl plus Tab to change vertex select mode to face select mode. Now everything is selected and we want this above to be deselected, so we shift right click on every face to deselect them from the selection. Now we're going to press delete and we want to delete the faces. And now you have everything deselected, everything deleted except for this one. And now we're going Ctrl Tab back to the vertices. Now remember what I've said about extruding. We're going to extrude this little edge. EZ2. Now we have extruded the vertex in the middle. You can't see it because it's too thin, but we still need it, because we're going to make the faces around this thing. Right click to select it, it's selected already. Shift right click that one and shift right click that one. And we're going to press the F to fill up a face. And that's it. Now we have a face here, and we're going to do the exact same thing with this one and this one and everything around it. One thing around 3D objects, they are always, every object is hollow. And now we have the top of the Plumbob basically. Press the A to deselect everything. We're going back to object mode, and here in the object panel you can change the name of sideliner to Plumbob. It's always easy to recognize your objects that way. Tap back to edit mode. If you have made for example a scene in one file with a castle and trees and everything, and you have made a character, let's say for example a knight in another file, you have to append that knight to the scene in the background to add it to the file. And if you don't know how you have called that knight, and it's only it includes the basic name of the object, then yeah, it's of course not very practical to recognize it. So always rename your objects to names that you can easily recognize them. And let's see, select the top vertice like that. We have done that. Alright, back to object mode. Going to view, camera. Now you can see how it will look like when it's rendered, and it's not very beautiful. I like to have this thing in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the camera. Everything can be moved, so why not the camera? Press the G, press the Z to move it a little bit to the top, and to press G, Shift Z to move it there, and G, Z again, and then G, Shift Z to move it there, and then let's see, yeah, we can move it a little bit down, because there's going to be another half down here, and Shift C to move it a little bit back and a bit to the top. That's it, yes. Now what we're going to do, shift the middle mouse button to get out of the camera, and going back to right click to select it, And now we're going to edit mode and select the middle vertex on the bottom, this one, and press G, Z, -2, and voila, we have made ourselves our Plumbob. If you know how to do it, it's pretty easy actually, really easy. This is the Plumbob from the outside, and this is how it will look like in the final render. Is this a simply easy, ugly, grey Plumbob. Now, if you have seen the intro of the of Electronic Arts, I can show it to you. Projects, Sims 3, tutorials, intro. You can see. Stop. You can look a little bit through the object, so that means there is something inside. It took me a lot of time to figure out what's inside, and I've not really made it very well, but I've created another Plumbob inside that Plumbob and make it a little bit transparent to look through it. So that was the example of from Electronic Arts. This is my example. Yeah, it's a very high quality, so it's not very easy at all to see. So voila, you can see this is what's going to be like our project if it's ready. There are things inside that will make will give it a little bit of the glass crystal feeling. That's the result, and that is what we're going to do in the next step. So going to File, save your project, and it's saved. Alright, now we have created the outside of the Plumbob. Like I've said, we also need to include the inside. So press the middle mouse button to move around and to take a better view of the Plumbob. So here it is. Now in edit mode, press tab to go there. We're going to press the Z to look through the object. And Control Tab to Edge Select Mode, and select and delete the middle edges. Control Tab, Edge. So, well, where are you? Zoom in. Control Tab, Edge. It's pretty hard to. We have to select this middle thing. Yes, it's not easy, but it's possible. And then we're going to. Press delete and delete the edge in the middle. So that's done. Now press the A button to select the whole object, the whole Plumbob, and press Shift D to duplicate it and press enter. So Shift D and enter. What you have done now is you have successfully cloned the object. You can't really see it because it's in the exact same place as the original one. But it's still selected, only that one, and that's what we need to do. So with the duplicated Plumbob still selected, press G to grab it, S to scale it, and 0.9 to scale it 1/10 is that of the normal size of the Plumbob. So G, S, 0.9. So now you can see there is a little Plumbob inside the bigger Plumbob. Is now the inside, okay. Control Tab to vertex select mode. Control Tab to vertex select mode. And select half of the vertices of the middle Plumbob that forms the heart of the object, and press F to fill it up with a face. What do I mean with that? Control Tab to vertex select mode and select half of the vertices of the middle Plumbob. Oh yes. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, and yes, 3 is enough. And do the same with the other and press F to fill a face. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then press F. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and press F. You can't really see the face because this thing is invisible, but believe me, it's there. So do the same with the other edges. We did it. Press Z again to show the outside of the Plumbob. Z. Now we have selected the things inside, but because the outside is here, you can't see them, of course. Ctrl tab to face select mode and select the outside faces. Ctrl tab and face. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 faces selected of the entire Plumbob. Press H to hide them from view. If you press the A button, you have hidden all the selected faces. They are still there, but you can't see them. You can see them in the render, of course. It's basically to make it much easier to edit all what's inside the thing you have selected. If you press Alt H, they will be back again. But we have them hide it in this way, so press H. Do the same with the smaller Plumbob. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And press the H button. Now we have only included the thing we have made in the middle. Select the two faces of the core that forms the heart of the object. Right click, shift right click. Press E to extrude it and then dot 15 and press A, then A again to select the whole core. So we're going to extrude it. And we're extruded 1.15, so you see it will be a little bit bigger. Enter. And then press the A to deselect everything and press A to select everything. Now with the duplicated core still selected, press GS.9. The duplicated smaller core is now inside the smaller Plumbob. That's just because it's because the middle of the object was the flat thing, but because we have extruded, the middle of the object is now the bottom of this extruded object. So we press and we wanted to have it in the middle. G, and then scale it 0.9 to make it a little bit smaller. Now it actually fits in the object. Alright, Ctrl tab to edge select mode. So now we can select the edges instead of the faces. And select half of all the vertices of the downside of the core and press F to place a face. That's because only the top bottom has a, how do you call that? Has a face. And on the downside not. So press F to fill it and here again to fill a face. Do the same thing with the other half. Yes, Ctrl plus tab to face select mode. Ctrl tab to face select mode. And select both faces and press GZ.15 to move it downwards. GZ. That's not what I mean. Ctrl tab to face select mode and select both faces. Oh yes, this one included with the shift right mouse button and press GZ minus dot 15. I mean enter. Press A then A again to select the whole core, A again. And press Alt plus H to make the complete Plumbob visible again, Alt plus H. And now everything is visible. Give your Plumbob color and a gloss material. That is what we're going to do next. Alright, now we have made our Plumbob from the outside as well as from the inside. We now need to give it some skin, or in Blender terms, 3D animation terms, it's called giving it either a texture or giving it material. Yes, that's what we need. So we're going to material and we're going to press new, and then this material, whatever it will be, we're going to call it green glass, because the color of this object will of course be green and it will need a bit of glass material. So we're going to activate this to the object settings. We're going down to display, here it is, and we're going to click transparency to make sure the object will be recognized as transparent. Then we're going back to material under the green glass and we are going to click ray traced. Transparency, enable it and click ray traced. That means we can enter more values for this material. Change the alpha value to .3 the alpha value makes sure the amount of transparency the object has. We can see that first by this is the solid object, and if you want to change it to 0.3, you can see actually look through the object a little bit. So now we can actually see the inside. In the example, the preview, you can see how this will change the total effect. So the alpha has changed. Under diffuse, this is, where are you? So much buttons. Here, diffuse. Under diffuse, click on the white bar to open a color swap and change the color to green. No, just a little bit here. This will be green enough. And if you press F12, you see it has a green color. Sort of, because it's and transparent and it doesn't have a background. So if things are transparent without a background, it will look a little gray. Don't worry, it's now ugly, but it will be beautiful later. So change the IOR, that's the index of refraction, to 1.55, and that thing is here, 1.55, and you see a little bit less light is going through it, and you can see here the changes that has been made in the preview window. Change the depth to 7, and the fresnel to 5. You must now have written down this function, of course. Close transparency. Actually, we're going to close everything, it's more easier to see. And click on the mirror. Mirror. First, activate mirror. Now, let's see. This is what it will be. Aha. Absolutely no color. And that's not a big issue, because we're going to change it anyway later on. On the mirror, so it mirrors things, change the reflectivity to 0.15. Now it has 0 reflectivity, so it won't reflect at all. And see, the render time increases, because the computer has more things to do now. And remember, this is just one frame, so if you're making a movie, around a minute or so, you can think about how long it will take. Sometimes I've made something around 30 seconds only, and it took me 48 hours to render the whole thing. But yeah, it also is in HD quality, so that explains a lot, of course. So the reflectivity, have we changed to 0.15? Yes, we have. And change fresnel to 5. Right, see a little change here. Now, we're going to close the mirror. We don't need it anymore. Now what we are going to do is add light to the Plumbob. We're going to press Shift A, press the point lamp. We're going to need a point lamp, and that's here in on the grid. Press C and move it to inside the Plumbob. We're going to Z and move it somewhere around the middle. Doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but if you like to do it, if you're a control freak like me, you can do that by pressing, what was it, 2? No, 1? Yes, 1 is the exact middle of the Plumbob. G, Z, 1. So now we have added the light inside the Plumbob. Go to Object Data and change the valve. Oh wait, Object Data. It's here. No. So much buttons. So much buttons. Objects. Oh, we're already there. Object Data. This is the data objects for the lamp. And change the valve to custom curve. So where are you? Valve. Here. To custom curve. See, they changed the preview. And we're going to giving the energy, the amount of light it gives, to 1.5. Enter. A little bit change over there. And the distance to 25. And that's already there. So now we're going to enter this. Yes, it's going to light a little bit, but there was another lamp here. Let's see, if we delete this thing, then it will show you this. Alright, I have to agree, this is not really nice to see, but it doesn't matter, because this is only tutorial 1, and we have made a Plumbob, we have given it a material, a color, and a lamp inside, because in the movie in this movie, you also can see there is a little bit light in the middle. There is a lamp actually here that will light up the Plumbob. There's also a lamp in the background, but that's something for another tutorial. So basically we're done. You can do this, you can do a lot with this, but that doesn't matter. This is our 3D Plumbob. We made it, we finished it, and now you can be proud of yourself. Just Ctrl S to save this thing. I'm going to open another Plumbob. So this is my first made Plumbob, press F12. See, I have changed a little bit settings in the lamp, so you can see this is another Plumbob. In the next tutorial, we're going to animate this Plumbob. And animate is nothing more than moving it around. And yeah, I will see you then.